Women, what is a near universal ick in the dating world? Meeting a woman on a first date and crying to her about how women are not interested in him. Seriously, my ex used to moan and complain about being friend-zoned. Well, stop befriending women only because you find them attractive and want to see if you can wear them down to date you. Befriend people because you legitimately want to be friends, jackass.
Oh, there is absolutely a story. I was in my selective dating phase, doing my usual coffee shop screening ritual. I walked in and immediately spotted my date because his nervous energy practically greeted me at the door. We sat down, and before I could even settle in, he opened with the unforgettable line, "I don't know why women don't like me," as his introduction. In my mind, I thought, you are sitting with a woman right now, and perhaps the mystery would solve itself if you did not start with a monologue about rejection. Naturally, I kept that thought to myself. 6 minutes later, I made my graceful exit with the classic emergency line about needing to take my friend to the doctor, a dramatic escape worthy of a daytime soap.
Trying to turn the conversation sexual way too early.
This from an actual Tinder conversation I had. Me, "Hey, your dog is super cute. Where is that hike? It looks beautiful." Him, "Thanks, it's a local park. Do you do anal?" Or when it's not too early, but they're suddenly incapable of talking about anything normal without making it sexual somehow. Why? I found my husband on OkCupid about 14 years ago now. I got messaged a lot by other guys and eventually got the, "What's your favorite position? Anal? Do you swallow?" etc. What the heck? I added on my profile that I wasn't looking for hookups but something serious. Eventually my husband messaged me, and after 3 days of messaging back and forth with zero mention of anything sexual, we met. And yeah, still together and very respectful and understands boundaries. Why is that so hard to find? I got lucky.
Condescension. It doesn't even have to be in a dating context. If you treat someone like an idiot, you might as well brand the word asshole into your forehead.
Yeah, how is that so common? Pretty regularly, I get people wanting to be friendly with me by talking badly about others. "Hey, look at that idiot, isn't he stupid?" "Okay, do you want me to like you now? How is this supposed to work?"
A guy who asked me to be his wedding date for one that was a couple hours away scolded me for being on my phone and missing the scenery. I was looking for a playlist on Spotify, good music being a totally normal thing to want during a road trip. I hate those dudes who are always looking for a moment to criticize a woman like we're unthinking morons.
Ross from Friends energy, oversharing, trying to appear vulnerable, but something is off about it, like thinly veiled anger, victimhood, and intrusiveness.
Men who hate women but depend on them for all things emotional, house labor, and sex.
In the first couple dates, having an issue with meeting you in a public place, or insisting you come over, or insisting on picking you up, or trying to come over to your place. I've had a guy ask me to go on a camping trip with a couple of his buddies for our first date. Can't really think of a more red flaggy first date location. And another guy found out roughly where I lived in town and immediately wanted to plan a whole weekend at my place so he could go mountain biking during the day and hang with me during the night, even though I told him I wasn't looking for a hookup and had just moved to town and only had a twin air mattress and no furniture yet, and I happened to be sick. He was so pushy about it and kept teasing me about how I was never going to invite him over, so I just blocked him. Nearly went on a date with a guy in his early 30s, I was 19 or 20 at the time, and he tried to invite me over to his apartment for our first date. I flat out told him no, and so we agreed on something else. No biggie, right? Anyway, day of the date comes. I'm all dressed up and ready to go, get a text message as I'm heading out the door for him to say that he's canceling the date because now, all of a sudden, he feels uncomfortable about our age gap. At the time, I was peeved that he stood me up so last minute, like 1 or 2 hours before we were supposed to meet, but in hindsight, thank God he did. So would have ended up in a Netflix documentary if I went on that date. Send me a pic, guys. Last guy the first talked to would go through my social media and send me pics of myself he personally liked with his own caption of unsolicited comments he thought would flatter me. Yeah, super turned off. Oh my God, yes. Had this just the other week. Him, send me a cute pic. Me, sends a regular selfie at home with my pet. Him, I was hoping for something a bit more exciting for a nighttime photo, lol. Me, my pet and I are cute. If you're hoping for something else, I don't send those kinds of photos. Him, well, there's always an exception to the rule. Me, no exceptions. Him, oh my God, I wasn't asking for a nude or anything. He stopped messaging after that. I blocked him for good measure.
Not washing hands after the bathroom, or just lacking in basic hygiene.
saying you're lucky to be on a date with him, and when you say no to a second date, naturally, he says that at my age, I was 42 then, I'd be lucky to find someone as good as him.
When you first meet them and they say, "I'm a nice guy," or "I'm not like other guys," here we go.
Means, I'm probably worse than most guys because I lack introspection skills.
Using the phrase high value to describe another human being?
When they ask 0 questions about you and treat the date like a 60-minute podcast where they are the only guest?
You're so mysterious, says the man who never asks you a single question.
I am not kidding. I recently went on a date that was almost 2 hours, and not once did he ask a single question about my life. Not one. By the end of the day, he literally didn't even know what I did for work or what I did every day of my life.
It's actually incredible how many dates I've been on that have been like this. How are you trying to date someone and you aren't interested in knowing anything at all about who they are? It's really not that hard, y'all.
Trying to act tough about everything. I lived in a nice suburban neighborhood and was friendly with my guy neighbor. My date picked me up and acted like he needed to size up the neighbor for a potential fist fight. I was very confused because all my neighbor did was wave, and the date said, "I'm too naive to understand." We didn't date long. I'm still friends with my neighbor and his family 10+ years later.
Manners. I don't care how handsome you are or your career path. If you slob around, neg for attention, and have the temperament of a toddler, no thank you.
Lack of social boundaries. He stands too close, touches too soon, asks questions that are too personal. But there are more. I had one guy pick me up for a date. I buckled up my seatbelt, he smiled approvingly, and patted me good-naturedly on the crotch. Another guy really urgently wanted to go to the track. Another brought a literal, in the old sense of the word, portfolio of 8x10 glossies of him with various celebrities. Dates like this are God's way of giving us drinking stories.
Another guy really urgently wanted to go to the track. Pardon my ignorance, is this a sexual euphemism I'm unaware of? Or do you mean he wanted to gamble on horses and/or greyhounds?
Don't know if anyone said this yet, but a dude who's not involved in the lives of his children, if he has them.
That bitch won't let me see them. Convenient excuse for a deadbeat dad.
A new one, ChatGPT. If they use ChatGPT to talk to me in the app, how do they expect to use it in real life when we meet?
Divorced dads who complain about paying child support or school fees. I don't even have or want kids, but that's a big turnoff. How awful for those kids to have a selfish dad.
Talking about your ex unprompted in a disparaging manner. Exactly. If it's unprompted, that sucks. But when people say talking about your ex at all, I just roll my eyes. I think people should be open about their past relationships, especially if there weren't too many of them. Let's say someone was literally abused, beaten, or whatever, and I should hide this? It's not someone wanting to go back, but if someone says, "Yeah, it was kind of mid," and we laugh about how we were both stupid enough to date someone crappy before, I see no harm. Being physically pushy very early, like, "Hey, we've been sitting here 10 minutes, not ready for your hand on my thigh. Breathing room is important." It takes a minute for me to decide if I'm attracted to someone. Being pushy kills any attraction immediately. Breathing room is such a good term for it. Gotta let things breathe and grow naturally. I went speed dating, and one guy's opening line was, "I have a good job and a house and I deserve to have a wife." I thought to myself, fantastic, I have to talk to this guy for 5.5 more minutes. Excuse me, but I have to go to the ladies' room for 5.5 minutes.
Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. It really helps. Subscribe for more, and tap the bell so you don't miss the next one.